Good afternoon, everybody. Today we are here to discuss on the secret ingredients for successful TRIZ Level 4 certifications. It's by our first Level 4 certified practitioners from Malaysia, Dr. Yeoh. I think everyone knows him because he trained most of us as in TRIZ in Malaysia for the past 10 years, I think, more than 10 years. I give it over to the mic to Dr. Yeoh to start this. It'll be quite intense for 2 to 3, from 2 to 3:30 p.m. Over to you, Dr. Yeoh.
Okay, all right, Kim Xiang, thanks. Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, basically this is a level 4 sharing, and what I'm going to cover is what it takes to actually achieve your level 4 certification. For those who may not be at the level 3, it is fine. Okay, let me see whether. Okay, for those who are not familiar with the the TRIZ path, this is kind of a snapshot in terms of if you're in level 1 or level 2, yeah, you are actually essentially under the Malaysia TRIZ Association certification. So normally we go from level 1 up to level 3, and then if you choose to move on to the international TRIZ, we call it MyTRIZ in Russian, then you will go for another certification for MyTRIZ level 3. So there are quite a number of people who already achieve a MyTRIZ level 3. So the next step, of course, natural progression is MyTRIZ level 4, which I'm going to share. Ultimately, of course, the final step is level 5. So that's a TRIZ master. Okay, I'm going to proceed with this agenda. So this agenda will cover actually two portions. The first portion is actually the level 4 requirements and the submission process. So that means I'll show you the checklist that is provided to you that you need to complete with documentations to support each item that is listed in the checklist. So I'm going to show you the checklist along with the documents which I used. And of course, you can use that as reference so that you can see which one you need to enhance or add on, or whatever is needed. So this will be one of the portions that I'll share today. And then, of course, the other major bulk is actually the project itself. So this project has a couple of things that you need to be aware of. What projects you need to choose, and what kind of TRIZ tools you need to apply. So I'll share the project write-up which I use, and along that I'll talk about some points to note or consider, and I'll talk about what happened during the defense in terms of the feedback, and I'll show you actually the amended correction to the project write-up. And then we'll kind of conclude with the next steps, what we need to do in terms of those who wish to pursue the level 4. Okay, so this next few slides will talk about the kind of the level 4 requirements and the checklists and the documents you need. So this particular document on the right over here is actually derived from the MyTRIZ website. So if you just type MyTRIZ, you just go into the MyTRIZ website, this particular file is available, and you can read through in terms of what the level 4 is all about, how do you qualify for level 4, and all the whatever you need to know about level 4. So you can actually extract the file, or I will send to you at the end the end of this next steps. I'll talk about how you can get these documents. Okay, so this is actually if you want to read through, it's good, but it is actually summarized in this level 4 checklist. So this checklist has, if you look at it, it goes into like 4 parts. Part A, Part B, Part C, and Part D. A, B, and C are basically documents that you need to provide. And these documents need to be, later on I'll show you, needs to be completed. That means to say, if you ask for a resume, you need to have attach a resume. If you have a cert number for a level 3, you need to add it in. If you have a list of patents or inventions, you need to add a file to this. If you have, presentations, TRIZ presentations, publications, books, you will then add in here. So all these things need to be incorporated in as a form of the checklist. And down below is actually the qualification work in terms of your projects. So that means you need to add in an abstract, and then after which the detailed projects, and then followed by the PowerPoint presentation of your project. And then, of course, there's another item on your lecture. I will go through each item from A to D so that you know what is required. Um, if let's say you have done on submission, you will send it to the MyTRIZ secretary, and on submission, the MyTRIZ secretary will check that all your documentation requirements are fulfilled, and then if okay, then she will submit it to the CC4 committee review. CC4 is actually the certification committee for level 4, and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so this next slide is actually showing what I submitted. So initially, if you look backwards, it has description of what some of these items are. But when you do the submission, you will add in the file name of what you have put in to fulfill the checklist, items as shown on the left hand column. So for example, let's say you need to submit a letter application for level 4. Yeah, then you just attach a letter, and then you put it in a PDF form. Similarly for resume, your your certificate number, and of course, if you have solve problems with TRIZ, then you add in the summary. For publications, you add in a minimum of 3 papers for TRIZ conference publications. So you attach papers or whatever as required in the checklist. Let's say evidence on training experience. So you can just summarize some of the, summarize all the trainings you have done to date. And of course, under the project work, then you will submit in the abstract, the project report, and then the presentation, and then the 3 topic presentation. So here is a check mark here. So you can just put a tick or whatever. In some cases, like for example, those in asterisk, if you look over here, now this one is actually the latest format. The one I had was a bit older. So anything in asterisk over here, like evidence of training experience, evidence of developing or upgrading TRIZ, down below, this asterisk is optional. So that means if you don't have it, you don't really need it. But of course, having it is, if you have it, then it strengthens your submission. Of course, what I have here is only for reference, so you customize to your own situation. Okay, I'm going to go section by section now. So the first one is actually a letter, followed by the resume, and then of course photos and all that. So yeah, so your CV or resume is actually kind of a summary of all your various TRIZ activities. So I put in italics since the beginning of time. Yeah. So since you were born, if you have work on TRIZ, you can include it in. So it could be 20 years ago, 30 years ago. It doesn't matter. But of course, what's important is to show a trend, right? It's not like an event whereby 10 years ago you were super active, and then the past 9 years you didn't do anything on TRIZ. So it's good to show a trend in terms of what you were doing in the past few years. It could be different focus areas, but there is always a connection back to TRIZ. And since the CC4 committee actually do not know us, a lot of them are actually more of residing in the Russia. So they may not be aware of what we are doing. So it is good to make sure that in your resume, it does contain a lot of your activities in TRIZ so that they kind of know what your work is all about. Okay, I'm going to switch now to the various documents just to highlight to you what are the things that I submitted. All right, so First off is the application checklist, very simple. So yeah, so as I mentioned, it just shows the letter and all these things, right? So that's the first one. The next one is actually the application letter. So this application letter is you can just copy, you just put in the who you're addressing to, your name, your address, and then just say it's an application for level 4, and then just say you're submitting the following files for your application, and that's it. Yeah, very straightforward. Okay, next one is a resume. So this resume again, customized for your own, for for the things you're doing. So for my case, yeah, basically, yeah, of course, you can put in your education, your work history, to show what you have been doing. And then this one probably is TRIZ related history. So I decided to add this in, kind of share, what has been done in the past. So I can just say that, when I was trained, and then talk about kind of the work I've done in Intel in terms of developing the training material, proliferation of trees within Intel, then proliferation of trees in Malaysia, and then training of lecturers, and then of course working with MNCs and SMEs, and so on and so forth. Yeah, so you can do the same, just within the history. Yeah, some of you as lecturers, you could have developed trees for your, let's say your diploma, engineering students or degree students. Yeah, so just add in whatever you have done from a trees perspective. Yeah, so yeah, show a trend. After which you can kind of consolidate everything. And actually, all this is broken up later in the checklist, but you can consolidate everything into the resume so that kind of the one document to show everything that you have done. Yeah. So you can put in the book publications that you have. You can put in your papers, conference papers. Now, there are some papers you may have written and they went into non-TRIZ publications. It's okay to add it in, but when they ask you for the minimum of 3 publications, it need to come from a TRIZ conference. So it can be from Malaysia TRIZ conference, it can be from TRIZ Fest over here, it can be from any other conferences, like for example TRIZCon. This is in the US. Okay, and then training. So in terms of training, again, you can consolidate. So for myself, I put in the training that I did in Intel, how many students in which levels, other companies, yeah, like Keysight. And then of course you can add in, if you are invited to give a seminar, yeah, you can add in yeah, all the various seminars that you did, license. Yeah, so maybe you can be a keynote speaker. Yeah, so all these things you can add it in. And then other companies. Okay, and then if you develop training material, let's say for your university students, you can indicate which levels and all that. Okay, yeah, and I also added one for project consultation. Um, yeah, so I talk about some of the work with Malaysia Productivity Corporation. Yeah, so basically they actually work with 3 SMEs per year. So just add in the various companies uh, and the number of projects. Then of course you can attach in some of the projects that were done for the some of the companies. And of course you need to have backup slides in case during the defense they may ask you to go into details of what was done for some of these projects. Yeah, so you need to have all this on hand. So anyway, yeah, so those are what I did. Then with the MPC stuff. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So this is the resume side. Uh, okay, let's go to inventive activity. Yeah. So this may be a bit repetitious now. because they are captured in the resume. But since this is asked specifically, yeah, some of them you can go into details for the submission. So this one is actually talking about any patents, any work that you have done, any case studies that were completed based on TRIZ. Yeah, so for myself, I have one for, let's say, projects done in Intel. And then, of course, some of them, in this case, I work on projects with other companies, but I put this as under non-disclosure, so I'm not going to share them. But for other companies like SMEs, there is no kind of confidentiality issue. Yeah, so all this you can kind of show them. Okay, same thing, repetitions. Okay. So in terms of the some of the case studies, yeah. So I also since I published some of them previously in my book, yeah. So I can just kind of attach them, uh, yeah, and you can actually see them in the book. Right? Yeah. So all these are actually the case studies that were done. Yeah. So you just show them as evidence that you have completed the projects. If you don't have them in a publication mode, of course, you can submit papers also. Yeah, so it's not a problem. Okay, published works. So this number 5. So published works is basically any book publications and any paper publications. Yeah, similar to the resume. And over here, I attach about 5 papers. Minimum is 3. So it needs to be conference, TRIZ conference papers, not external journals or conferences. They are not TRIZ conferences. Okay, let me see. Did I complete everything? Yeah, okay. All right. Okay, let me stop here. Okay.
So, sorry, Dr. Yeoh. Maybe I just ask the crowd any questions.
Yeah.
Anyone want to ask anything? We have 50 people here. That's the record.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, Dr. Yeoh, Naga here, right? So I just want
Yeah.
to check. So in terms of the conference attended, is there any kind of like, you have to attend, like assuming you're submitting this for the coming year, is there a requirement that the conferences have to be like, valid for the last 3 years ago, or could it be like, many, 6, 7, 10 years ago? Are those counted as well?
Yeah, counted. Yeah, so Nagapan, since the beginning of time. Yeah, so since you were born, yeah, as long as you were the author, it's counted.
Okay. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, so remember, over here.
Sorry,
yeah, okay. Yeah.
Dr. Yeoh, I just want to answer. So when you put those conference that you attended, I mean, do you need to show evidence that this is there, right? Because sometimes the evidence would be just your records in the website, and because there's no proceeding being published, so there will be none.
Right. Yeah. So you need to be able to have the a copy of the proceedings, or if you have the hard copy, right? You scan in the pages and submit it in. For example, okay, let's say this was done in 2006, right? Yeah. So you need to submit since it's a TRIZ conference paper. Yeah, I did have my soft copy. Yeah, so I just submit that in. Yeah, and if they really want to, if they say, oh, you don't have your, the publication here, in the, in the highlighted text over here. Yeah, you can just say that I can show you the kind of the agenda of the conference. Yeah, and that also should be good enough.
And let's say that this person is publishing talking about TRIZ in the IEEE conference, and the topic is really about TRIZ. That would not be counted, right? Because it's an IEEE conference and not a TRIZ conference.
Correct. Yeah. So it is counted under, let's say, let's go back to this so that we are clear. So if you look at this, right, um, minimum 3 references or abstracts, blah, 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 right, presented at TRIZ conference. So it needs to be a TRIZ conference, minimum 3. So you can have more, but it may not be TRIZ conference is okay, but you need a minimum 3. So that's why when I did the publication here, right? So let me go back, right? Yeah, if you look at this, I have one here, MyTRIZ conference counted. MyTRIZ conference is counted. TRIZ Fest is counted. This is not counted. This is not counted. This is not counted. And this is counted. Yeah, TRIZCon is counted. So there are 3 papers here which is not counted, but of course you can add it in as part of your publications. But when what is counted is those that are in the TRIZ journal or TRIZ conferences. So you will submit, let's say they want the kind of a proof, right? So you can submit number 1, number 2, number 3, number 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. But you cannot submit number 4, 5, and 6. You can show it, but you cannot submit in because it's it's not a TRIZ conference.
Okay, understood.
Mm.
Anyone got any more
Nagapani?
questions?
Yeah, Nagapan, is it okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Yep. Thanks,
Okay.
Dr. Yeoh.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, okay. Any other questions? Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we came up to here, right? Yeah. So although it's put the asterisk is there, but optional, right? But it's useful to showcase your TRIZ expertise, right? Because if you say, oh, I didn't have any papers or whatever, I think it's not so good, right? Over here, right? Sorry, papers are here, but here training and teaching, right? So that means if you say, oh, I didn't train, I didn't give any seminar, I think it's not so good. So definitely, I think all of us probably have taught some classes or given a talk. Yeah, so those are counted. Yeah, so you should put them in. Okay. Okay, list of publications. Yeah. So C3 is a summary of TRIZ training classes and all these things. So C4 is evidence of developing or upgrading TRIZ. So it's this one is optional, can include efforts to identify deficiencies or enhancements. They say in MyTRIZ level 3 training, you find that some of them, maybe they are lacking certain things, there are some errors. Yeah, you can point them out. Yeah, so that is part of your contribution to making the training better. Of course, you need to be acknowledged by TRIZ master. So if Sergey is teaching, yeah, you can explain to him, okay, this one maybe not so good, whatever. And he says, yeah, it's okay, agreed. Yeah, then those are actually kind of strengthen what you have. Yeah, if you have book publications, that's also good. So what I did was uh, book publication. So I did this. Yeah, so what I did was under here, so I say, oh, I co-author a book, and then I authored this book, and then I translated this book. So whether this helps in the body of knowledge is up to them, right? But I just include those in. Then of course, just add in like the contents of the book. Uh, just for illustration purposes. Uh, something like that. Again, this one is not mandatory, so if you don't have it, it's fine. Okay. All right. Let me pause here. Any questions up to now?
Anyone have any question for Dr. Yeoh? If nobody have a questions, I have a questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you probably have the most complete records of teaching among everyone in whole Malaysia, right? Because you help to pioneer all these things. I mean, everyone who doesn't reach your benchmark shouldn't apply, is it? That might be the impression that
Oh,
we
you mean?
get.
Okay, Sean, you mean the training portion?
Yeah, not only the training, the rest of the records, right? Because you probably have the most complete about trees in the whole Malaysia, right? Together
Yeah.
with
So no, right.
together
So
with info,
it's
right?
okay. No. Remember, from MyTRIZ standpoint, right? If you are MyTRIZ level 3, you can teach people only 2 levels down from you. That means you can only teach level 1. So if any MyTRIZ level 3 goes for this level 4, they can only show level 1 training. So if you're MyTRIZ level 4, then only can you teach MyTRIZ level 2. It's not like us, right? We are Malaysia TRIZ, we are a bit more loose, right? That means we can teach level 1, level 2, although we are level 3. So in this case, there's no different from other MyTRIZ no candidates, right? Can only show level 1 stuff. I'm different, right? Because I can teach level 1, 2, and 3, although I'm only a level 3, right, at that time. So it's okay. You can show all your records of level 1. Now, if you have forgotten them, of course, you would have maybe the attendance sheet, or you could have marked the papers. You're keeping the archive of those papers. Yeah, those are all proof that you have taught those classes in the past. Yeah, and that should be good enough. Yeah.
Dr. Xiao, this is Eng Ho. Do not let Dr. Yeoh's record to limit the other people from applying. This is just one of the many criteria. And in case if you have forgotten what classes you have taught, just write in to us in MyTRIZ. We do have your records. And we can download including the participant and their IC numbers of the participant.
Yeah, thank you, Wing Hu, for the reassurance. Okay, let's continue then. It's almost 2:30 now.
Yeah. Okay. So if you look at this, right, everything up to C5, right? Actually, when I submitted, and during my defense, no one asked me about all the documents I sent in. So if you look at this, right, I submitted the number 1 to number 7. No one asked me about any of the documents I submitted. So either they didn't read or they couldn't be bothered, right? But as long as they have been checked, right? That means checked to mean that it is present. Everybody is focused on actually the qualification work. Yeah, so don't be like, oh, it's not enough, or I need to teach more classes. Don't worry. It's not the most important. Okay.
Okay, thanks for clarifying.
Yeah. So yeah, as long as you have like minimum, like 3 publications, you do some training, yeah, just show something like this. You have done some projects, yeah, done. Yeah. So don't be overly stressed on trying to get all these things. Yeah. Okay. Let's go to the meat now. Yeah, this part D, of course, is about the project. Yeah, so this project is, of course, the most important. During my level 4 defense, everything is about the project. Yeah, so it's like 90% was about the project. 10% was asking about who was I. Yeah, so I had to like give a bit of background, and then the rest of the 90% is all about the project. Okay. Yeah, so you just need the abstract. Actually, they also did not look at abstract. They went straight into the project. And they did not read the project. They actually went into the presentation. Yeah, so I'm going to show you the PowerPoint presentation which I presented. And I'll talk about some of the key things you need to be aware. The last one is actually presentation of a 2 to 3 hour lecture. Yeah, so this one you can just pull off from, they say, you teach at level 1, whatever. I'm going to talk about the topic. Yeah, so yeah, this D4, right? You choose a TRIZ topic which you have previously used for training. Yeah, so let's say in your level 1, let's say you have taught function analysis. Yeah, you want to use that as your topic. I think it's fine. Engine contradiction, physical contradiction, whatever. In level 1, or if you have taught level 2, it's also fine. That's not a problem. But very important is you need to align to MyTRIZ. And the best one is read the book. State of the Art TRIZ, which Eng Hu was kind of advertising that this book is now available for for purchase. I strongly encourage you to, if you're not sure about some of the MyTRIZ sensitivity, right? You need to read the book, especially like function analysis, cause and effect chain, engine contradiction, as you know, right? Our if then but for Malaysia TRIZ and international TRIZ are slightly twisted, right? Yeah, we do it slightly differently. So you cannot align to Malaysia TRIZ. You must align to MyTRIZ. And if for some reason someone reads your presentation material and you did it the Malaysia TRIZ way, you will definitely get into problems. Yeah. So I encourage you to read the book before you touch anything on the, like things like engine contradiction, cause and effect chain, and function analysis. Physical contradiction, substance field model, inventive principles, standard inventive solutions, no problem. There are no conflict with matrix. Is it okay? Any questions on this part? Okay, so as I mentioned, D2 is a write-up, and D3 is actually converting to the PowerPoint presentation. So when you do the submission, convert all files to PDF format because your PowerPoint will be extremely large. But during the level 4 defense, you use PowerPoint. Yeah, so that's easier. Okay. Okay, let me back up first. Okay, so let me show you the brief summary of the project and all these things. Then we go to the actual project. The project abstract is as shown over here. And basically, this is kind of it's a 1,000 word abstract, but no problem. I just summarize what the project is about. So what I'm doing is actually a tape and reel equipment for IC devices. And basically, just say this submitted for level 4 specialist certification. Now, in this case, right, the work is actually done in Intel. And my advice is you don't have to state the name of the company. During the level 4 defense, you can say it's Intel or whatever company that you took this project from. But during your submission, you can just say it's a world leader in semiconductor manufacturing or whatever. And that's it. You don't have to go into the name of the company unless it's a company that is okay with confidentiality. They have no problems. Then of course you can put in the name of the company. All right. Yeah. So the project goal and then the solution. Yeah. So this is the kind of abstract. And then the next one is the kind of the word format. So you have to write it in this kind of way. So then title, the qualification, your name, then of course the contents. So the contents will show what the write-up is along with the page number, the standard stuff. Right? I will go into details in the PowerPoint. Okay, so whatever you have written here, so you write in the project description, project goal, all these will be translated to PowerPoint for presentation. So during the level 4 defense, you do not go through this Word document because it's too difficult to present. So you have to kind of, maybe do a cut and paste, or in some cases you may need to reduce the number of wordings. Some of them are very wordy. Yeah, so you have to convert them into proper PowerPoint slides. Okay, the TRIZ topic presentation, I'm not going to share because I shared the level 3, so it's not really that relevant. Okay, so any questions here first before I go to the actual project? Okay, all right. All right, so let's talk about the level 4 project requirements now. So what are the things you need, the ingredients that is needed for your level 4? You need to have a technical description of the project, talk about the background, that means what's the problem you're trying to solve. And then, of course, with this problem, there are always project goals, right? So I put in here is best to be industrial problem, and you must not be a supervisor or hands-off. So because it's written here in the technical, the requirements of level 4, candidate must be a full participant in a project, general leadership, supervision, participation, discussion are not considered full participation. So you need to be in the project itself, working with the engineers, those kind of things. And then there are 3 parts in the, in the roadmap. Later I'll talk about the roadmap. In the roadmap, there are three parts: problem identification, problem solving, concept substantiation. So the problem identification, you use analytical tools, right? Like function analysis, cause and effect chain analysis, yeah, those kind of things. And over here in the requirements, function analysis is a requirement. So you must, as a minimum, have function analysis. In the problem solving part, a RIZ is a requirement, although it's not written here. So if you read through the whole document, there's no mention of a RIZ. But a RIZ is a requirement also. So as a minimum, your problem identification must have function analysis. In problem solving, you must have a RIZ. In concept substantiation, which is the final part, right? After you have identified the root cause, then the problem solving comes in. Then the concept substantiation is, you look at all the options available, and then you choose the one that you want, and then you implement, right? So you list the potential solutions, you select, you implement, then of course you compute the return on investment, and of course show the before and after impact if you can. And the work needs to be completed. Your work cannot be still ongoing. It needs to be completed, and it needs to show, that the project goals have been met. If a company confidential, you can request for a company letter detailing your efforts and implementation result. Yeah, but of course, if you can show your pictures, show the before and after impact, I think those are much better. Okay, let me pause here. I'll go into more details later, but any questions in this section? Kind of overview.
Anyone have any questions for Dr. Yeoh?
Okay, all right.
Sorry, since nobody asked, I just probably asked obvious. So by these definitions of full participations, all those government funded projects like done at university will not qualify, right? Because in those cases, most of them will be under general leadership supervision.
Yeah, so right, for example, let's say you have master students under you, right? And then you're more like a supervisor, the master students do the work. Yeah, it is not counted. So you maybe want to kind of strategize it. That means if you can get your hands in, really work on a project that you select, yeah, then that is counted. Yeah, so you have to get involved actually. Yeah, so supervision is not counted.
I mean,
Well,
how would that distinction be? I mean, if like the supervisors can be very involved, like as though that he can design the whole thing, and the students end up like a technician just executing the ideas of the supervisors. In that case, you'll be counted, right? But
then don't consider yourself as a supervisor. Consider yourself as part of the working team. Of course, you could be the lead, the working team lead, but don't call yourself a supervisor because it has a different connotation. Supervisor is like a manager, right? So yeah, maybe you revert the role you have.
how to demonstrate that? I mean, in the reporting of this, we be just.
Okay, I will show you later in the project that I wrote. Then you can ask me again if I didn't mention that. It has to somehow be kind of it's kind of integrated into the way you report out.
Okay, then we'll just wait for your. Okay,
let's wait first, then I'll show you how I wrote it to show that I was involved, and then you can see whether there's a difference or not. But definitely, if you are really kind of engaged inside, your students are basically helping you. Yeah, it's constant. You are hands-on. Yeah, but I would say don't call yourself a supervisor. Yeah, maybe a technical lead, a team lead or something. I think that's fine.
Dr. Yeoh.
Yeah.
How recent must the project be?
Again, since the beginning of time.
Okay. Thanks. Okay.
Yeah. So far, I don't. Yeah, they were not. They were not like particular about the time. They just want to know. Okay, was a project, completed? How's the tools you use? Were they good? And was it a technical project? Those are the questions. They weren't, they didn't ask me about, when was this done? Yeah. So I wouldn't worry. Okay, no questions. Let me move on. Yeah. So let me just summarize what happened during the level 4 defense. So this was done during TRIZ Fest. So some of you attended, right? Yeah. So I spent like 1.5 hours in the defense, I think from 6 p.m. to 7:30. Yeah. Okay. But anyway, here's what happened. So in that committee, let's do a distinction. Right? There's what is called a TMCC. So on the right-hand column, you can see the TMCC members. So TMCC stands for TRIZ Master Certification Council. And this TMCC actually identifies who should be in the CC4. That means a certification committee for level 4. And it appears that this CC4 committee, of course, needs to have certain folks from TMCC. So at this point in time, Yuri Fedosov, he happened to be in TRIZ Fest together with the rest, Sergei Logvinov, Sergei Yasunenko, Sergei Kovenko, and Elblin. CC4 committee needs 5 members, partly because of the voting process, right? So you need 3 versus 2 if there's a tie, right? Yeah, so they need to be odd number. But the normally is 5 people. And it varies based on availability. They can call any TRIZ master, they can call any level 4 to be in the committee. So it's very difficult to know who is inside. But in this particular case, right, let me tell you some of the key things that happened. Dr. Yuri Fedosov, he's basically more Russian-based. Yeah, so there was a lot of translation between him and the rest. Same as Sergei Logvinov. Sergei Logvinov is more into a lot of questions. He'll ask many questions, almost everything. Yuri Fedosov doesn't ask that much, but he will give you a conclusion. Sergei Yasunenko is very much into that TRIZ book, which I talked about. So he wants to make sure that your cost effect chain is done properly, your function analysis is done properly, and I'll show you some of the gaps that he highlighted. And of course, Sergei Kovenko, of course, is more like helping. Yeah, so he didn't really ask questions. He already knew my project. Elblin, not so much also. He was more of trying to make the numbers. Yeah. So the first 3 are the ones that asked the most questions. Okay, so the feedback from the committee, I will put them in a green highlighted box and I go through each slide of the project. And well, in the end, right, after they asked quite a lot of questions, so these are the conclusion, the problem solution and concept substantiation. That means the risk portion and your concept, that means the implementation of the project, good, no areas for improvement. So they actually didn't see any gaps. Other inputs was overall good, some minor improvements, but bottom line, able to solve the problem. Yeah. So although they say, oh, you missed this, you missed that, but overall the problem was solved. So it showed that the process is robust enough. Yeah. So finally, the decision was approved without any amendments. So actually, yeah, I didn't know that it needed, and I didn't know that it was approved. So after that, I actually did a lot of amendments based on their inputs. So I will show you my final one, although it was never submitted. Yeah. Okay. And I'll put in my comments, key points during what I saw, key points to note. Okay, this any questions? Okay, all right. So let me go through. So this is the so basically you copy and paste from the Word document and then you put it into presentation format. Okay, yeah, so there's this. So this will be, so this was the agenda. So it talks about the project description, the innovation roadmap I'll talk about. And of course, the innovation roadmap has 3 parts, as I mentioned: the problem identification, the problem solving, and then the concept substantiation. All right. Background, of course, you show a picture of your equipment and so on and so forth. So some things to note. So yellow is my inputs. So green will be the CC4 feedback. All right. So it says, so what I'm saying is not necessarily get actual company photos. Yeah. So you go to a company, you do some consultation. I think sometimes for confidentiality, don't take the photos in the company unless it's a very unique system. And if you want to do that, of course, you ask kind of permission from the company, the engineers. So in my case, the equipment is not the same as what was used in Intel, but I just took it from internet because they are generic. And as I mentioned, exclude your company name, your write-up, but you can mention the company name you can mention it verbally. Any questions? Okay, so I'll just proceed. If you have questions, you just stop me along the way. For here, what I'm saying is you can add backup slides. Although you submitted the write-up, sometimes although you submitted, sometimes they may not be clear. Yeah, so sometimes you may want to put in some animation or whatever to describe. Yeah, so I did spend a bit of time to explain this engineering system because they weren't very clear. They were not familiar in some cases. So I have to talk about how the system works, how the seal blades are heated, how they press, and then use the pressure. Yeah, and this picture over here is actually coming from the company itself. Yeah, because it is unique to the problem. Yeah, so in this particular case, it's about the cover tape sealing, and this has to be actual company photo. Yeah, so in some cases you have to, no choice. Okay, so just to kind of give you some clarification, right, so that you understand. So this white kind of transparent thing is called a cover tape. The black thing is called a carrier tape. And what you do is you put an integrated circuit in this pocket, and then for transportation purposes, they'll put it into this what's called a reel. That's why it's called a tape and reel. So this reel will contain IC devices in kind of sealed in pockets, and use a cover tape to seal them up. And of course, how the cover tape is sealed to the carrier tape is through this seal blade, which presses down onto the cover tape onto carrier tape. Due to the heat and the pressure, then they will seal. Okay. Is it okay? Any questions? Okay. All right. So let me just okay. So over here, so I say best that you have an actual industrial project and something that you're very familiar with, and also if you have project goals, they can be validated on completion. So that's why my input is you need to work on an actual industrial problem, not something that you cook up, in your mind. It needs to be actual project, so that you can put in project goals, which is with goals to meet. So these are actually coming from the company itself, right? So you have a problem of a long conversion time, incomplete seal, and downtime, right? Downtime means the equipment is not running, and is basically a waste, right? So yeah, so in this case, there are some numbers, and then your goal is to hit certain numbers as shown. So this project goal is very important to show that realistically you have a project is coming from a company and no one will argue with you. If you do not have a project goal, then the committee may feel that you are not really having a real project in mind. Now, if you have a project goal, sometimes they are also company confidential, right? For example, this long conversion time, some of the engineers or the company itself may find that it's not good. These are actual numbers. So what you can do is you can always normalize absolute numbers, or you can chart them, right? You can show a chart for the y-axis. There's no numbers for the y-axis. Don't show absolute numbers. It is okay. You just show a trend, right, of how you improve them. Okay, and then there are some project requirements, of course. Solution must be low cost due to large base. Okay, so let's talk about what kind of project is suitable. So basically, you should have a physical, mechanical, electrical project. That's the best. Something you can touch and feel, and avoid management, business, people-related problems, because a risk minimal change for people doesn't work. Right? For example, what are the parameters of a human? Oh, you have the height, you have the length of the feet, length of the arm. You have the size of the eye. Yeah, and of course, you need to go into the two opposite states, right? So the height of the person needs to be tall, height of the person needs to be short. How can that happen, right? Because minimal change, right? But for human, it's actually not possible. So you cannot, in this case, do any management, business, or people related, right? So yeah, so the best is stick to the physical, the mechanical. If you have electrical, yeah, that's also okay. Or any questions on this? Okay. Then talk about some limitations. That's fine. Yeah. Um, okay, and then yeah. So in this case, I kind of wanted to explain to the committee why this is important. Why should we solve this problem, right? So talk about what's the problem with if you don't solve this, right? So I just say, oh, the loss will be on hold, and then the delay shipment of customers, not meeting the customer commitment, and quality issue, right? And then of course, yeah, then you requalify, and then there's a significant downtime. Okay, there was some input from the CC4 committee. Then you just say, find out how carbon and keratin is stuck together. Is it a polymer? Then say, oh, you should have added more photos, more details of the failure type. My response was, it's confidential. I couldn't take any of the photos, and the committee was okay. Yeah, so yeah, in that case, it's true, right? Any questions? Okay. Yeah, okay. And then, of course, how's your involvement, right? So as this problem was getting more serious, then process engineer contacted me to work on this project due to the criticality and urgency of the problem, right? So explain how you got involved in this particular project, right? So it could be an engineer contacted you, or you are working on project consultation, and this problem became quite serious, right? Yeah. So explain how you got involved. Okay, this part is a comparative study. So comparative study to mean that are there other systems available? Are they having different way of doing things which may be better than what you have? So I did one on internet search on are there other ways of tape and reel equipment kind of principle of operation. Yeah, so in this case, such systems are largely unchanged since early 1990s. Okay, fine. So I just conclude that there's not much progress. So no modern capabilities being done. Okay, there was an input that incomplete seal has been seen in peel sealing. Can check what they've done. Yeah, although they cannot find the information. Yeah, so I just left it as it is. Yeah. Yeah, okay. This one was a bit of yeah, I was kind of caught unaware. I also did a Google patent search because I wanted to understand what other, what are the various kind of new technologies that were available. Yeah, so in the patent search, of course, I put in the title. Then of course, how was it done? Yeah, so there was some like bonding material, some use air buffer, some use all kinds of different things. Then of course, I commented, right, like process step is uh, bonding material needs to be applied. You have to change your principal operation, those kind of things. But I got the input, right? For comparative study, patent search is not necessary as it's too narrow. So that was a kind of surprise for me. And the recommendation is use FOS, function-oriented search. to see what other industries are doing. Yeah. So thinking about it, yeah, I think function-oriented search is quite interesting. Yeah. Although we have always used function-oriented search to solve a problem. In this case, what are people doing for this sealing process? So in my embedded slides, I actually did a function-oriented search. Okay, anyway, bear in mind that if you want to do this comparative study, you can do a FOS also. All right. This project innovation roadmap, it is important because it shows your three things you need to do. One is called the problem identification. So these are what I call the analytical tools, right? So there are a whole bunch of analytical tools you can use, including function analysis. The ones I put in red asterisk are those that I use. Yeah, so I use function analysis, I use cost effective analysis, and I did trimming. I did a RIS, of course, apply the inventive principles, concept substantiation, idea substantiation, concept evaluation. So all these three things, you must have elements supporting these three areas. Okay. So minimum requirement is actually function analysis and RIS, as I mentioned, because function analysis belongs to problem identification. And if you look at the documents for level 4, it mentions that. And the problem solving, I chose a RIS because it's effective in obtaining low-cost solution with minimal change. Now, I did ask Sergey last time if I say, oh, what if I exclude a RIS? You say if you exclude a RIS, CC4 committee will query you on a RIS in detail. That means they'll ask you all kinds of things on a RIS. Like what the RIS is for, what is minimal change, what is that, or what is this. I think you just do it. Yeah. So if you do it, then they know that you know a RIS and no questions asked. So as a minimum function analysis, a RIS. All right, let's do the function analysis. So my first part was cover tape sealing, right? It's not good. So I did standard stuff, right? So you list the system components, you did list the super system components. I got another input that the function analysis should not exceed 7 components or else too complicated. Best to use process analysis and then narrow down to which step it is having problem, then only do product analysis. So that was quite interesting. I've never been given this kind of input before. It was quite good because if you look at, so as usual, right, you do the interaction analysis and then you do the function analysis. It's actually very complicated. But after I think about what was, the feedback, yeah, I found that this portion, the raw pneumatic housing, yeah, actually it is, aligned. Yeah, this is actually another process step. I kind of combine two processes into one for this product analysis. So actually it could be simplified. Yeah, so in my amendment, I actually simplified a bit more. But nevertheless, yeah, no inputs. Everything was okay. Yeah. So there was another feedback on the function model table. Sergey did talk about this in the past, but Sergey Yatsunenko was very adamant. So he wanted, oh, where's the function model table? So I say, I don't need it, right? But anyway, he says you need to put it in. Yeah, so anyway, I put it into amendment. But actually, the rest, like Yuri Fedosov, he actually wasn't very particular. As long as you solve the problem, you did the basics properly. Yeah, these are all extras. But it depends on who's in the CC4 committee, right? So if Yasunenko is there, yeah, he'll insist on all the things you need to do, like function model table. So better do it. Same thing. So when I showed the cause and effect chain analysis, so he asked, so where's your N and all? So I said, okay, I didn't do it. So you need to put the or, is it N, those kind of things. So again, go by the book if you don't have it. State of the art TRIZ. This is where all the level 1 topics are there. So read it and just follow whatever is written. But anyway, in the amendments, I'll show you what I changed. And the other one was each function disadvantage should include into CECA, right? So yeah, I missed some of those, like top plate screw has this insufficient hole to the base. Yeah, I didn't put it in. Yeah, so yeah, you need to make sure that whatever um, non-normal functions, right, like insufficient, harmful, yeah, they need to be reflected in cause and effect chain. Okay, I mean that's all we need to do. So that's fine. So just be careful. Make sure everything is accounted for. Any questions so far? Okay. All right. Yeah. So based on cause and effect chain, then I found that okay, out of these two, I found that this is not a problem, but this is a problem. But I don't know what is incorporated inside here. So I changed my target disadvantage to top plate screw not tightened properly, and I redid the function analysis for top plate tightening. Yeah, because this is exactly what happened during the problem solving itself. So I just show the cost of activities. So in this case now, it has changed to the tightening process, what's happening. Again, the interaction analysis and then the function model. Okay, and then from here, then talk about what was seen by the technicians, and then we did the cause and effect chain, and then yeah, so there were two again key disadvantages. So standard operating procedure not followed, or limited space. So found that is this one. Okay, so we find that this clearance length of the Allen key was blocked by this gap between the heater housing and base. And because of this, this Allen key had to be tilted. So you had to go sideways to try to tighten this top plate screw. And if you tighten this in this slanted position, there's a problem of rounding of the hexagonal slot. So if the slot starts to get grounded, then this Allen key is going to not able to tighten the top plate screw. So when this top plate screw is loose, then you have all these cover tape sealing issues. Okay, yeah. So basically that's the problem. Okay, then so once you know the root cause, then you go to the risk portion, which is the problem solution. Okay, so a couple of things. Now, when you did a RIS A5C, a RIS in level 3, right, we went up to step 3. And remember step 3, we have the SFR table, and then we pick about three of the elements, and we created the physical contradiction for each of them. And then we try to solve each physical contradiction, right? So PC1, PC2, PC3. So we did that for step 3 up to step 3 for level 3. So now we are redoing a RIS, right? So my advice is you go all the way to step 8. Actually, step 9 is nothing, but step 8 for level 4. Don't stop at level 3. Don't stop at step 3. It is not good enough, right? So you should proceed until step 8. And I'll show you what I did for up to step 8. Okay, another thing you need to think about is this second one. A RIS is a requirement. So your project needs to have certain difficulty level where other problem solving tools, example, engineering contradiction, physical contradiction, substance field, inventive principles, standard inventive solutions are not obvious or not able to solve. So don't come out with a problem whereby if you just apply inventive principle, segmentation. Oh, okay, solve the problem. So of course the committee will be asking, why you didn't use inventive principle? Why do you need to go to ARIS? You have a very hard time trying to explain why you went to ARIS when other tools could have solved the problem. Remember, ARIS is not the first tool, right? ARIS is the last tool. So if it's obvious where they can just reason out and say, oh, standard inventive solution is can solve your problem. So you have a hard time why you use a RIS. So the project that you pick needs to have certain difficulty, right? Such that the rest of the tools are non-obvious. So in this third one, since it is difficult to determine nature of the project in the beginning, it's best you work on a number of projects. For myself, I actually work on hundreds of projects, right? And then some of them I pick for a reason and I find not so good. It's too obvious. It's too simple. Yeah, so I throw them away and then I redo. I keep doing until I find something, oh, looks quite interesting. Yeah, then you deep dive and then you try to work the details. Yeah, so try not to just try to work on one project and then you try to, try to use arrays and you later you find it's difficult. Questions on this one? Okay. All right. Then you're very familiar with arrays, right? Yeah. So the engineering systems, you tighten the top plate screw, these are the parts. Then you have the if then but, right? EC1, if the Allen key is placed vertical, you can tighten, but the heater housing pushes Allen key away, EC2 opposite. And of course, you do the graphics, tighten, okay, but this guy push harmful. So EC2, if you don't tighten, right, or insufficient, then this guy doesn't push. Right? EC1, EC2. Then of course you choose EC1, and then of course tool and product, aggravate, and then yeah, so there's a top plate screw and Allen key in vertical position. Okay, all standard stuff. Operating space, right? The OS is the interface between Allen key, and the socket. Okay. Then of course, can you separate in time, right? T1 yes, T2 yes, T3 after that is too late, right? The screw is already damaged. Then of course this one SFR. So the tool and product, of course, the parameters, fields. Of course, I think you can add in like magnetic, thermal. Yeah, you can add a few more. But I thought this would be good enough. So the Allen key, the top plate screw, the top plate, the air, the base, the heater housing at the interval. Okay, after which then of course you create your X factor, right? Preserves ability to tighten without heater housing pushing Allen key away. All right, substitute X factor. So I chose a shape of top plate, length of Allen key, orientation of top plate screw socket, material top plate, shape of top plate screw socket. Now, it's up to you how many you want to choose. Of course, if you have 5, quite good. Yeah, you can have many different options to consider. Yeah, so as I mentioned, right, you have more is better. Then you can look at all the various diverse solutions and then figure out which one would be the best to solve your problem. Okay, so PC1 shape needs to be vertical and shape of top plane needs to be horizontal. Yeah, so instead of horizontal here, I make it vertical over here. Okay, so separation space, inventory principle, and then solution. So you do it for every PC, right? So PC1, PC2, length Allen key needs to be long, length Allen key needs to be short. Yeah, so long here, short here, right? So you put an adapter. All right, so intermediary. PC3 orientation needs to be vertical and horizontal. Yeah, now it's a vertical Allen key put on top. Okay, why not to put Allen key by the side? Fit it along. Of course, not all of them are practical. Later, I will remove them. Material needs to be rigid, so you can use like a shape memory alloy, right? So you can be heat them and then they release, or that you cool them down, then they tighten. Okay, very good. But of course, this one a bit expensive. So apply trimming. Yeah. So in this case, I decided to do trimming because trimming looks like a very natural process to actually look at potential solutions. In this case, I'm trying to remove all these additional components. So in this case, I put in the function model, and then I decided, no, why don't I remove the top plate screw and have the base hold the top plate. Okay, yeah. So now instead of the top plate screw being present, top plate screw now is absent, and then I chamfer this top plate, and then I just slot it in. Okay, now I use trimming. Actually, in arrays, there's never any mention of trimming, but the CC4 committee never say anything, so I assume it is okay. Okay, PC5, the shape needs to be hexagonal and non-hexagonal. So in this case, in PC5, I couldn't really come up with a solution. So I moved to the next step, which is step 4, right? SLP, Smart Little People. Now, yeah, you need to attempt Smart Little People because it is a demonstration of level 4. So in this case, Smart Little People, I put in the SLP of the socket. Then, of course, this Allen key is modeled as people Allen key SLP, right? Trying to push against this socket SLP. And if they push hard enough, the grip, right, of the SLP is broken. And now you damage this kind of the screw, right, the top plate screw. So this is the model of the problem. Then of course, how do you solve this? Well, I decided, okay, why don't I use a sacrificial SLP, right? Something that is put in between, and then although this push, but it doesn't damage the socket, but it just damage this sacrificial SLP. Okay, yeah, so good enough. So model of problem, model of solution. So in this case, I could also take it further. I decided, why not show it as a trend, right? From circle to 12-sided, 10-sided, octagon, hexagon, square, triangle. So in this case, maybe we are using a kind of a hexagon. Yeah. So maybe if I go triangle, fewer points, right? Fewer stress points. Maybe triangle would be good. Yeah. So instead of this, fewer stress points. Maybe a triangular socket is good. Okay. Anyway, this was the only input I got. Maybe after circle, you put an oval. After triangle, maybe you put a kind of a normal line screw. Yeah. Okay. All right. And then so okay, remember, let's back up. So remember in step 3 we are done, right? In level 3. But for us, we proceed to step 4, which is Smart Little People. Then you proceed on. Remember 5 and 6 is if you cannot solve, then you look at the flip. No? That means you look at the EC2 instead of EC1. But since I solved the problem, I skipped step 5 and step 6. So now I go to step 7. Step 7 says review introduced substance and field. Check that the fix is minimal with no new resources, and then can self-control substances be applied. So now think about whether this can be self-control. Okay, so in this case, why not make the top plate independent of cover plate dimension, right? So I say I created another physical condition. Top plate should be present to hold cover tape, and it should be absent during operating space where there is no cover tape. Yeah, so in this case, I segment the top plate. That means there are 2 independent parts now. Because this is only to help in the separation, the size of the package. But in terms of sealing, there is no necessity to have this particular piece of top plate. So why not segment, remove the middle part, and now you got this self-control system. Okay, so this is another solution in PC6. PC7, of course, is rather than chamfering and slotting, since this one doesn't move anymore, why don't you just weld it? Yeah, so you weld it in place, and now you got a rigid structure. So this is solution 7. So now you kind of review all the, ensure that IFR is satisfied. Yeah, so you have 7 solutions. And yeah, so I mentioned over here, solution 6, segmentation and welding permanently. 6 and 7 are the 2 good solutions. Then you go to step 8, utilization of found solution, how this super system can help this change system. So in this case, I did trimming again. Yeah, so there are components in the system where maybe I should just trim away the Allen key, the top plate screw. And now I just use the super system, which is the base over here, super system to hold the cover tape. So now I'm actually using super system to actually do the function. And by doing that, this trimming, I now create another new system whereby these are not two different structures, but they are actually now the same base, which is now having a extension over here, and this is replacing this part. So of course, super system take over. Okay. Continue on 8.2. Check whether apply to solving other problems. So I couldn't think of anything else, but I thought that maybe this is very good. Maybe we can apply into future systems whereby you need a high top. Maybe I could go into this kind of triangular system. Okay, and that's it. No? End of a race. So by the time you reach 8.3, you're done. So now you're done the problem solution. You will go to the last step of concept substantiation. So this idea substantiation is to summarize all the things that you did in terms of the solution, right? There were altogether 10 solutions. What the details are, kind of comment, and then you decide whether to drop or accept. Yeah, so some of them like yeah, although it's kind of good, but doesn't improve conversion productivity, I drop. This also good, but does not improve conversion productivity, I drop. Some of them impractical, drop. Some of them change principle of operation, not so good, drop. Some of them very difficult and precision modification is a problem, drop. So you kind of indicate your comments, good or bad, and then you drop it or accept it. So finally, this is a good solution, I accept. Welding is good, I accept. And this is also a good solution, but recommended for future equipment purchase. Okay, yeah. So you generate enough solutions so that the committee can see what options you have, not just one but many. And then finally, when you accept, then you will show your final solution. And this is the final solution taken real actual operation, right? So initially this is one piece segmented. So now you see this, there's a gap, and then this is welded down. Okay, and so you show the before after, good enough. And then you show your project goal. This was your goal. What were your results? So again, these are actual. Yeah. So 30%, you got a 35% zero occurrence, and you met the 50% reduction in downtime. Okay, and then of course, mean limitation or low cost solution, minimal change. Okay, so as I mentioned, it showed the before after photos. Patents not needed. No? Initially, I thought patents was important. They never asked me about patents. So committee is satisfied if this is an industrial problem that was solved effectively. So be confident enough to demonstrate that you are the content expert of this problem, right? So yeah, they may be technical experts, but you should make sure that you know more than them. And as long as you have done this, it's good enough. Okay, before I go to the amended write-up, any questions?
Yeah, Dr. Yeoh, I just want to ask for the SECA just now, your target disadvantage, is it, do they limit your number of target disadvantage? And then do you need to actually highlight the part that this is the one that you choose for your target disadvantage? For
Well,
SECA.
the target is, yeah, well, okay, let me go back. Yeah, the target disadvantage, of course, it comes from the problem that you have, right? So in this case, you can only, well, depending on the problem that you have. For my case, after I started with this incomplete seal, right, is my target disadvantage of the key problem or the problem, right? I find that when I came to this key disadvantage, I uh, couldn't proceed further because I didn't have enough information and I didn't do a product analysis. So that's why I then went in to do a second function analysis and then another cause and effect chain based on tightening process, and then created a cause and effect chain. Now you don't have to do two. Yeah, if you manage to narrow down earlier, and you found that, oh, it's actually due to this problem, then of course one cause and effect chain is sufficient. For my case, it's because during the problem solving, we did this. So I just showed the sequence of events that I did.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
Hi, Dr. Yeoh, this is Tamil.
Mm.
I just want to ask, when you give this problem identification, cost, and does the examiners ask anything on the costing, how much they need to do? Do they ask anything in that aspect? I just want to find out.
No, they didn't ask me.
Okay.
Well, remember, they also look at your solution, right? So in this case, my solution was actually super simple and definitely is a very cost-effective solution. Yeah, so so it was initially a single plate. So you just had to cut it up and then you just weld it down. So when they look at this, it's a low-cost solution already. Yeah, so they needn't have to ask. But if they ask, I'll just say, oh, below $100. Okay, done. Yeah.
Sorry, one more question. When the picture here is the before and after, when you give the solution to them, they make changes. Do they do like a prototyping first, or they straight away make the changes which you recommended?
They did it straight away.
Straight away.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Thanks. Thank you very much.
Yeah, but Tamil, as you know, right? All these they have to qualify, right? So after they make so after they make the change, they have one, right? So it's not prototype. They will actually run some qualification units through, make sure everything is fine, and then once they meet the qualification, requirements, then they will proliferate, and then it goes into full production.
Sorry, because I was thinking from a software side, because sometimes when they implement a software, they'll do a big bang method, or they do phase. That's why I'm asking that question. Sorry, I just want to think in my area or domain. Thank you very much.
Right. Yeah. So in this case, they just make a change on one. Yeah, then they run. Yeah, they have a qualification criteria. Right? Maybe run a few thousand units, make sure everything is fine. Yeah, then once okay, then they go through some qualification board. Then after that, if approved, then they implement.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? Okay, if not, let me show you the amended one real quick. Yeah, just to show you that, I made some changes. It actually was much better after that. Again, it was not a requirement in my case. Okay, yeah, so this one was I amended to meet all the criteria that all the feedback that they gave to me. Okay, I'll just show you what I changed. Everything the same here until the comparative study. So I decided to break it into like another part, right? 4.1 is just look at what is present. Okay, so I did a function-oriented search. So this, as you know, function-oriented search has a few steps, right? So step one, you describe the background of the problem. Step two, what are the characteristics? Step 3, step 4. Okay, standard stuff. So if you look at your training material, yeah, I just followed exactly. Then step 5, what are the required parameters? Step 6, you generalize a function. Then you identify the, industries. I decided to use ChatGPT because it was quite much better than just doing a Google search. So I just say join two streams of material together, and the response was automotive industry came up. And then, of course, this step you want to know what are the various joining methods. So they have this welding, adhesive bonding, mechanical fasteners. So as I went into adhesive bonding, then you have this kind of heat and pressure. Then of course there's some pressure activated adhesive, and all these things. Yeah. So based on analysis, they use heat activation technique and so on and so forth. So I just mentioned that so the principle of operation is not possible, and kind of close this. And then this was the patent search. Okay. All right, let me move on. Okay, yeah. So
Sorry,
so
yes,
one
I think, sorry to interrupt. We only have 5 minutes left.
5 minutes left. Okay. All right. So I'm not going to. So I'm going to conclude. So I won't go into details here. So I will mail to you all this material so you can walk through. Okay.
Yeah,
So in this, yeah.
Sorry
So
to
let
interrupt
me.
again. Maybe we have a longer session scheduled for the TRIZ AGM. That's what was Inko suggesting.
Yeah.
This year AGM, I mean next year AGM, we probably have a longer discussion on this topic.
Yeah.
in
So
person.
let me just finish out this last slide on the next steps, and it includes the AGM thing.
Okay, go ahead.
Is it okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so for those who wish to pursue level 4, you email to me. I'll provide the Dropbox so that you can have a look at the shared file, the documents. Of course, you need to discuss further, just email me or WhatsApp. Of course, you can contact Sergey for any assistance. One thing to note, ensure quality write-up with minimal gaps, especially your function analysis. You need to make sure everything is perfect. Because if you submit and if you fail the first time, you have the right in over here, no earlier than 3 months, submit again. If you fail, you will submit 12 months later, and your project needs to change. So you cannot reuse that project anymore. So just be careful about this. So as mentioned, we will have a half-day working session on AGM day. We talk about what you have for level 4, and maybe you work on the roadmap. I'll work with Inku on this. Okay, and the last one, no cost involved in pursuing level 4 other than hard work and deep thinking. And when you're certified, only you pay for the cert and the MyTRIZ registration, US dollars 300. Okay, that's all I have. Any other questions before we end?
Dr. Yeoh, good afternoon. This is Jiahong speaking. Yeah, just a quick question. Your solution proposed by the smart little people, you actually propose to change the hexagon slot into a triangular slot. Is that the only solution, or will you actually a little bit move forward from there?
Well, it's just a proposal because it's part of a trend, right? You go, and then that's it. Again, it's just a proposal, and that's it. You don't have to proceed further.
Don't have to proceed because I just think of another one is we can actually do a feature transfer with the hexagon and the triangle. So that may be one way to move forward from there. But I don't know whether or not will it add some value to the presentation or just some additional work.
Yeah, so up to you. So if you find that, maybe I can have another trend whereby I do some feature transfer, it's okay. There's nothing wrong in that because the RIS actually asks you to figure out whether there's any opportunities to find new usages. So you can actually incorporate in feature transfer. Yeah, not a problem.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions for anyone before we close in 1 minute time? If there is no other question, just hope you can turn on your camera if we take a photo together. I think there's still 50 of us here. Shafi can just help us to take a photo. Yeah, there are a few more. Let's turn on our videos and Yeah, please smile. And Shafi, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Tolong ambil gambar photo for
Yeah.
us.
Boleh stop sharing?
Yeah, yeah. I think the
Oh,
a
okay.
non-panel. Yeah, we can stop the recording actually. Yeah, stop the sharing and
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Okay, one more time. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Correct.
Yeah. Panel, second panel here and
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
okay. Three panel, yeah.
Right.
Okay, thanks for your time, everyone, for coming and okay, if you want a recording, I think you have to write to Dr. Yeoh for it and also email to him then. That's all from us now.
All right. I'd like to thank UKM, in particular Professor Dr. Xiao, for helping out to organize this sharing. Thanks, Dr. Xiao.
Yeah, for those from UCAM, you can scan in if it's part of your training hours if you want to claim. Otherwise, you can leave. I mean, you can leave. Can leave the our webinar. Thanks, everyone.
Right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.